Welcome back to another Focus ST Best Mods for Your Money and Reliability 2025 edition. Today we're going to be talking about the Stage 3 Plus modding and what you can do to further make your Focus ST more reliable and fun for the long run. So these mods right here are for the people that want to make more horsepower, especially above 300 wheel horsepower. And to do that, you need to upgrade to a bigger turbo and also set up a pathway for your Focus ST in order for it to basically not blow up the engine and also make it more reliable for the long run and eventually probably build your motor past the Stage 3 Plus point. But for now, this is going to set you up in the best path for the most reliability for the stock engine. Going to a big turbo would be the number one to make the power that you need past 300 wheel horsepower. So going to a bigger turbo is going to allow you for a higher horsepower capability because, like I said, the AEM turbo, it's a KO3. It's only rated for, 280 to 300 wheel horsepower max. The only way you can reach 300 with a KO3 really is to either run E30 plus have the wastegate preloaded all the way to the max, or upgrade the wastegate to a Turbo Smart IWG75. That's really the only way to reach 300 wheel horsepower with a KO3. Other than that, it's kind of pointless, and it just becomes a hairdryer at that point. It's really ineffective and not even efficient at all. That low end torque, 350 plus wheel torque is literally, it's so instant, it's hurting your rods. It's actually causing premature wear, and that's why going to a bigger turbo will actually alleviate that and move your power curve, or it's going to move your power band of your torque farther to the right. So it's going to help, put less stress on the rods. That's where you get your better mid-range and better top end for your power band once you go to a big turbo. That's another benefit. So the less back pressure, of course, is going to be achieved by going to a big turbo. You're going to have less back pressure, so it's going to equal less heat, which also helps with, when you compress your air with this big turbo. If you compare 20 psi with the big turbo versus the KO3, or even 25 psi, the KO3 is going to produce a lot more hotter charge temps because it's pushing so much harder for a small wheel versus a big, more efficient wheel on the compressor side, and it's just not working as hard. So it's just going to be more efficient. We know what are the temperature differences going to be. Who really knows? It depends on the setup. But you're going to have cooler charge temps, which is also going to allow your intercooler to actually run more efficiently. And make sure to get the CV Fab intercooler. That's the best one you can get for the money. It's half the price of the CPE. It's 10 pounds lighter. It does not break the tabs that it rests on for the radiator. Use my code BB5 at checkout for the CV Fab downpipe, intercoolers, and charge pipes. Also, you're going to have cooler exhaust gas temperatures because of the less back pressure that's happening and the less heat. Will lower exhaust gas temperatures, which is going to help the chances of head cracking go down substantially. So, that's really a big bonus right there all in itself. Which turbo fits your build the best? Well, to find that out, go to my playlist, Best Turbo Selection Series, to figure that out. And that gives you an in-depth detail on which turbo would suit your goals. But me personally, honestly, the B&R 71 would be the way to go because it can make 480 wheel horsepower, no problem. And this is the B&R 71 right here. It's probably honestly the most cheapest turbo out there for the reliability because, it's a B&R, and it's just going to be really reliable. It reuses the line, so it's very simple to set up. It's a little bit of a pain, but it's not honestly that bad. He's got all these fittings here, and it's not V-band like the traditional G series, but you got these hard lines that you reuse, and these won't burst like the braided lines will. So you got that as a bonus, and then you got to mount your boost solenoid on there. And what's nice about this is it's very compact, it's lightweight, doesn't have that stupid ATP top portion there for the wastegate, so it flows nicely. Internally wastegated, so it's very direct fit, and no worries on spending extra money for, you know, an external wastegate setup and a dump tube. You know, this will help, you know, you pass or whatever the visual inspection for, like, you know, if you have a state inspections and you're worried about emissions, this is probably the best turbo upgrade out there, other than like the 2867 internally wastegated turbos. But this right here, you know, this will make a little bit more power than the 2867 Gen 2. So, and it's quite a bit cheaper. Right now at Elliott Specialized Performance, it's literally like $1,350 for this turbo. So normally they go about $1,700, which is still really cheap, honestly. You know, it comes with a bunch of fittings and really easy to, you know, set up. You need to get a 3-inch silicone adapter that's like 6 inches long right here. That's really the only thing it doesn't come with. But other than that, you just reuse all your OEM lines. I set it up on the block ahead of time, got all the fittings in the correct position. This is the only line that it comes with that actually is needed. So then you just, you know, clamp this on. This is the OEM hose, so you can obviously put a different hose on there if you really want to do. It looks like it's a 1/2-inch hose, so you know, there's that. But yeah, I mean, it's a very nice turbo. This also has the 18 psi spring, so it's got the highest spring rate on there. This is a really nice, and honestly, this is probably, I believe it's definitely the best for your money. This turbo right here for just a bolt-on turbo. You want to pair that with the Elliott Specialized Performance silicone cold pipe and the hot pipe with the tile or HKS style flange for the blow-off valve, and those are right here. So what I really like, and I run a silicone cold pipe, what I really like about it is the ability to have only 2 clamps instead of 4 clamps total. And what this allows you to do is, obviously, you're spending less time installing it and you know, just removing it and putting it in, whatever. And also you have 2 less clamps, so that basically eliminates the chances of having you know, a silicone coupler blow off, you know what I'm saying? So it's all a one-piece hose, so you're not going to have the coupler blow off the throttle body. Or right here, you only have 2 spots. You know, just tighten these down really good, and you're golden. You're not going to have to worry about it. So, and then you got your tile blow-off valve right here. It's got a 8 psi spring. That's all you really need. 7 or 8 psi spring is perfect. And then you got the, you know, hot pipe. So you got the traditional hose for the turbo. This is going to the there, nice clamps. So then it comes with some line for your boost reference for your blow-off valve. That's really nice. Yeah, so shout out to Elliott Specialized Performance for you know, providing a great deal for the customers. You know, it's not only does he sell the cheapest priced turbos out there for the Focus ST, but also this silicone pipe, I believe, is like $160. And then this is about $175. And then the tile, you know, I don't know, it's like a few $100, but can't go wrong because the having the blow-off valve on the hot pipe. A lot of people say, oh, it's the wrong spot for it. Well, not really. I mean, it works because the stock bypass valve is on the compressor housing. I mean, that's even closer to the turbo. So, you know, the fact is that having the blow-off valve on the hot pipe works just as good because it's literally releasing all the air no matter what. You know, it does the job. And it's actually in a really good spot because you can access it really easily and you don't have to worry about it being all tight and next to the oil pan right there. It's just a way easier setup, and it's a no-brainer. And the pricing is hard to beat. Next on the list for number 2 is going to be water-meth injection and or the 4-port aux fuel. So the reason why I put water-meth injection is because from 2015 to 2020, when I was big turbo, on a stock motor. I ran water-meth. I ran the V2 AEM. So back then, that's what I had. And, you know, I ran a dual nozzle setup. You don't have to do that. I just recommend doing this to clean your intake valves. And also, it helps with cooler charge temps. It prevents knock. It also helps with, you know, lowering exhaust gas temps as well. Lowers the combustion chamber temperatures by like 200 degrees. It's kind of insane. And then the charge temps actually will be 40 degrees lower than what you're reading on top because you're spraying in the cold pipe. So I recommend either spraying about 6 inches, 8 inches before the throttle body, or you can even spray in a throttle body spacer. I've done that as well. There's no problem to that. The closer you are to the throttle body, the more it acts as a fuel. So basically you get more knock prevention and all that, the fuel bonuses, and it's going to be a little bit more richer. But if you run a 250cc nozzle, you actually don't have to worry about it because it's not enough fueling to where it's too rich on the AFRs. So you can run a 250cc, don't have to worry about being tuned for that. It just adds the bonus properties of the cooling and, you know, the benefits of this, all that stuff that water-meth provides. So I mean, it's a game changer because if you don't want to go 4-port AUX, which some people don't like doing, they'll go to like the XDI or whatever, which is insanely expensive. And I don't really like that route. But the water-meth, you can run that no matter what. And it just provides a benefit with the 250cc. I also have a video on how to install the water-meth and the 4-port AUX fuel. So go check those out as well. As far as the 4-port stuff, the Elliott Specialized Performance 4-port kit is the one I recommend. It's only $900. It's really cheap. It uses the high quality radium fuel rail, which is right here. I have it all wrapped up, so I'm not going to take it out, but it's a very nice setup. I mean, the fuel rail almost looks like it's a stock rail, like it belongs there. Cleans up the engine bay really nicely. The wiring isn't bad. You know, you get a solder kit from Walmart, and then, get some electrical tape. You're going to get higher horsepower capabilities as well with this because it provides more fuel. So the stock high pressure fuel pump is maxed around the reliable safe limit is 360 at sea level. So, you know, there has been people that pushed farther than that, but the thing is that's not the safe limit. That's past the safe limit. So yeah, you can go past that point, but it's kind of stupid because then you're just throwing the reliability out the window. And you got cleaner valves because of the 4-port. You're spraying your fuel on your valves, so it's going to clean them. And, you know, because of the direct injection, you got your direct injector is spraying below the intake valves on top of the pistons, so it's bypassing the whole part of where it would spray on your valves. So that's why port injection is really nice, because it keeps your intake valves clean. And I'm sure it actually provides a little bit of benefit to cooling the charge temps a little bit, but not a lot like water-meth, because water-meth is using alcohol. But you got a higher quality look. You know, like I said, with the radium stuff, you can run full E85, where with the XDI and the 2000cc injectors, you can run full E85, but the thing is, it's maxed out limit around like 470, 480. So with this, you can run full E85 anytime and not even worry about it, and it's $900 compared to $2,000 or plus whatever it is for the whole kit with the XDI stuff. Number 3 on the list is going to be the carbon Syncros with the MFactory differential. Why do I put those together? Because it just makes sense to do them both together. The carbon Syncros, really all it does, I mean, you don't really feel much of a difference, honestly. There might be a little bit smoother engagement, but other than that, I mean, it's really just beefing up the setup, strengthening everything, bulletproofing it, so that way there it's stronger overall. And then the MFactory diff, I mean, you can't go wrong. You can get these two things as well at Elliott Specialized Performance. Highly recommend it. MFactory diff is the best, cheapest differential out there for the money, and it's a forged steel material. It's amazing quality. I've had it for a long time. Like I said, it's nothing wrong with it. And it's actually, so to give you an example on how like you feel the difference with the MFactory diff, this probably goes for any upgraded differential, but I used to run like a 13.4 with shitty tires on my 2015 to 2020 setup with my 71.63, and I was about 360 at the wheels. At the drag strip in Canada, I'd run a 13.4, and then when I did the MFactory diff, it's on my channel for the drag strip run with that. I did a 12.8 at 115, and before it was a 13.4 at like a 111. So, it's honestly pretty crazy that that's the only mod that I changed in the Syncros, and it increased the time, helping the traction overall. That's really what it does. And it also helps with torque steer, because you don't get all that crazy torque steer. Now you can still get torque steer on some bad roads, for example, but really, it's way less than before. So, and then the OEM differential, there's been people that ran 500 wheel horsepower plus, 550 at the drag strip especially, and they've exploded a differential. So that's why it's just recommended that you do this. Even if you're not going to reach this number, it's always good to do the differential, because if you do the Syncros, do the differential at the same time, then it just makes sense for that combo, and you can get them from the same place. It's a no-brainer, and it just bulletproofs the setup. You don't have to worry about ever opening up again. You just do it all once and do it right, and you're good. But yeah, it basically just allows your tires to both grip the same way or equally, and that's how you get better grip, is just being a closed differential instead of open diff. So while you're doing this, you might as well do the number 4 on the list, which is upgrading your clutch. Now, you don't need an upgraded clutch to make 350 at the wheels, but eventually it is going to burn up, it's going to get hot, and it's going to wear out over time. And then if you do end up having problems with your gears, it's like, okay, you do number 3 and number 4. This is all really in order, but 3 and 4 I would do all at the same time. So it's lighter, it's going to have less rotational mass. The clutch is going to handle more horsepower, which, eventually is what you're going to want, especially with a big turbo setup. You just want that reliability in your setup with the clutch and all this stuff. And then what do I recommend? Well, honestly, if you want to shoot around between 4 and 500, I would say the South Bend Stage 3 Endurance is honestly probably the best clutch to go for. It uses a Kevlar material, but the thing is that material will last a lot longer than like a ceramic material or any organic material out there. If you want to go past the 500 mark, I've ran the Stage 3 Plus clutch from Spec. Honestly, I didn't like the Billet flywheel. I recommend sticking to a steel single mass flywheel, or even staying with, like, if you really want to just do an OEM Plus upgrade, do the RS clutch from Luke, which is basically the OEM brand that makes them. So you get that at Rock Auto, and that's what I did with the black car. So go with like a RS clutch, and then like a brand new dual mass flywheel for an OEM Plus feel if you want to really, save some money. But that can handle 400 all day long for sure, for a while anyway. What I mean by a while, maybe 50,000 miles, who knows. ACT is really popular. I was looking at the ACT full discs with the springs in it. That's probably what I'd do. I wouldn't do no 6-puck clutch, because those are all noisy, and you don't want all that crap going on with the noise, and it's annoying. You don't want that, and you don't want the gear rattle. And the problem is with the clutch upgrades is like they're so expensive right now. They're around $1,400-1,500 for a decent clutch nowadays, so it's unfortunate. The MFactory differential is around $700. The carbon Syncros, I think they're around $400 now. So yeah, Stuff's pretty expensive right now. So, all right, so number 5 on the list. Now, this is going to be the balance shaft delete plus the baffle. The baffling, you really, I mean, yeah, it's nice, and I would definitely do it if you had a 13 and a 14. I don't know what happened with Ford's brain when they made the 15 plus, because they didn't, make the holes to line up with. You had to like literally to make your own holes for the oil pans for the 15 plus. It's kind of crazy. I don't know why they even changed the design. Ford screwed the facelift guys for sure on that. So honestly, if I was a facelift owner, I wouldn't even do the baffling, because you really don't. I mean, it's really not needed unless you do tracking like with the autocross or some crazy cornering tracking stuff. I mean, with the oil sloshing all around. The OEM baffles are nice. I mean, they're better than nothing, and they do a job. But upgrading the baffles is also better. Besides that, though, doing the balance shaft delete is really a must. I recommend doing it, honestly. Even really, I mean, I'd do it before stage 3 plus modding, but I just figured it suits this style of modding better, because you're going big turbo, you're doing all this, you're doing the synchros, your clutch. You might as well do the balance shaft, because you can lower the oil pan and you can line up the rear main seal better and all that stuff. So, just doing all this in synchronized form will be the best way. So, less mass on the crankshaft. So you have, basically less parasitic drag on the crankshaft. And, that's 18 pounds of weight in there. And also, what it does is when you remove it, you increase the capacity of your oil system to 1 more quart. So instead of being 5.7, which I always round off to 6, I've always ran 6 quarts in this car since 2012. So it's going to go to 7 quarts. And, you get faster revs. Now, I never noticed the fast revs a lot, like personally, in my opinion, but you're definitely going to have a more reliable setup with this, because you're removing something that can potentially fail, and then if it locks up the crankshaft, it's going to destroy the whole engine, grenade it. It's going to be a huge mess. It is rare for it to happen, but typically they fail when they're high mileage, and then you go like a bigger turbo, you're putting a lot of torque on it, and it's going to fail. It's not, matter of if, it's a matter of when. So removing that, it just increases the reliability with the less moving parts, less to worry about. There is going to be more NVH or vibrations. It's equal to, in my opinion, adding a rear motor mount. It's very similar to just doing that, honestly. So you have that. Really, the only way to tackle the NVH is don't do your side mounts, and have the stage 2 CPE to tackle the NVH because of the EPDM, and then the side mounts, if you really have to, go with the softest material possible to tackle the NVH if you're going to upgrade. But other than that, really the only way to have hardly any vibrations is to have the side mounts not upgraded. The balance shaft, the oil pan has got to be removed, and you might as well do the rear main seal and upgrade to a billet rear main seal where it's reusable. The seal, obviously you can buy another one from O'Reilly's. It just doesn't get deformed because it's made of billet. It's not like a stamped steel where it's weak. So, being deformed, it's going to leak eventually, and it's very common, honestly, on these cars. Like I said, reusable, replaceable seal. It looks badass, in my opinion. So this is the MAP Performance rear main seal. Gotta clean it up there, but yeah, this is it. This only got 2,000 miles. Honestly, I could probably reuse that seal, but I'm not gonna probably. I'll end up getting a new one at O'Reilly's, and I do have the part number for that as well. And it's just one of them things where you don't have to do the billet rear main seal, but if you're there, you might as well, and you're planning on keeping the car at this point, you're putting all this money into it, you might as well get the billet rear main seal, because then it just helps bulletproof the setup even more, makes it more reliable. Do it while everything's being done, basically. So yeah, I mean, this is the Stage 3 Plus modding for the Focus ST 2025 edition. Make sure to like and subscribe. If you guys want a custom purge line upgrade, I make those still. And, just email me at whiteblurst@gmail.com. Also, remember to shop at cvfab.com. Use code BB5 at checkout to get your discount. And make sure to like and subscribe. And we'll see you on the next one.